Mr. Kuckreja, could you tell us if there is any current trends in human resource in the food and beverage sector?
Sure. I think it's a very exciting time for F&B professionals in the food and in the sector, because there's so much growth happening in the industry. So many new concepts, so many new kind of locations, new cuisines being explored, both international and Indian. So I therefore think it's a very exciting time to kind of be a young F&B professional. There are opportunities in hotels, opportunities in independent restaurants. And as I mentioned when I spoke, I think people are the backbone of the industry. And people are a very important differentiating factor in terms of service and in terms of customer experience. So I think they're a critical element to a successful F&B concept. So it's a great opportunity.
All right. Any trends you have observed?
Yeah, I think there's of course a lot more. I think more focus which needs to be placed on training. A lot of hotel and restaurant companies kind of run their own training programs. There is high attrition in the industry. That's because there is a shortage of trained quality manpower. So you have attrition, but I think it's very important, besides to do kind of not only kind of skill training, but do regular behavioral training, because training something, a service I offer in my consultancy company, and we work with some clients where training service staff and actually contribute to a clear uplift, increase of revenue. If you do effective training, the employee, the waiters or the captains and bartenders engage better with the customers, are manage to upsell them and increase the spend of the customer, and overall definitely make the customers have a better experience, for which they will come back to you more often.
All right. Any particular challenge the sector is facing right now?
I think, well, the sector faces a few challenges. One, of course, is overall regulatory licensing challenge, which still remains. There's large number of licenses, a lot of which are annually renewable, difficult, laws different in every state. For excise, there's a different law and regulation and fee structure from in state to state. So I think there's a whole regulatory challenge which we still haven't seen any significant movement, and we hope the new government does some work on this. There is obviously, I think, also a challenge of quality real estate at an affordable price, at a realistic price where the feasibility of restaurants would work. So quality real estate, and I think the third challenge is people, actually lack of trained quality manpower. So we also need more people to join the industry versus to join the industry and it is being seen now as a a respectable industry to work in, and that perception of traditional parents is changing. So but we definitely need more of the younger generation to come and join the industry to get a bigger talent pool.
Great. We have the online booking and reservations happening. How does your organization and your group fit into it? And what's
Sure. I actually do a lot of work with technology companies. I actually work with a company called Eat2Eat, which does online table reservations for hotels, and helped them enter India 2.5 years ago. I'm currently also working with a couple of, so I work with a lot of technology companies and advise them on their products. Also help them gain kind of acquisitions and get clients in the industry, and also kind of work in helping clients understand whether it's so there's a company called Mobicon out of Singapore, which I work with, which does consumer feedback and marketing, again online through tablets, and a company called Snapline, which does apps. It helps apps for delivery and for loyalty. So I think technology is going to play a more and more important part, and adoption is still, I'd say, early stage and needs to move to kind of intermediate stage, but we work with technology companies.
All right. Few do's and don'ts for startups in this food and beverage sector, and also keeping in mind that 80% of startups fail every year.
Sure. Yeah, I think the startups very clear that you must have a very clear kind of vision or concept of what you're going to do. Whether it's actually today a startup is not just setting up a brick and mortar restaurant. There's a lot of startups happening with kind of aggregators doing technology aggregators, aggregating home chefs. There are people with just back-end kitchens doing delivery. So, but whatever your concept is, to make sure that there's a strong and you've done a detailed research business plan, I always tell youngsters that it's worth investment in getting help, getting professional help, so that you take an industry expert to give you a view on your concept and make sure it's sustainable, and then to make sure that you have adequate funding, not only to set it up, but what all people don't often have is funding to sustain it in terms of a working capital requirement in the early stages, because any startup in any of these different areas of F&B requires certain time to scale up, and so just to ensure that you have the working capital and to support it till it reaches stage where it's evolved and making revenue and returns for yourself.
Any current projects?
I've helped create a brand called Cafe Tonino. I worked with the Tonino people and helped create Cafe Tonino, which opened successfully in Connaught Place in end of last year, and opening a second outlet in Gurgaon. I've worked on a couple of new concepts in Ahmedabad. One is with the Have More Group, which is an Indian kind of modern Indian QSR, and one is with a brand called Amazo Bistro, which is all vegetarian. Both are vegetarian bistros. Like I said, I'm working with some technology companies, and I'm doing a work with some of the other business groups, but I can't give their names out.